Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this fascinating deep dive into one of the most mind-blowing and mysterious stories in the world of coin collecting. Today, we are exploring a coin that seems small and ordinary, yet it has taken the numismatic world by storm because of its astonishing value and incredible backstory. Imagine holding a simple 10-cent piece, a dime, in your hand, something most people wouldn't even notice. Something that buys almost nothing in today's world, and realizing that it's worth not 10 cents, not a few dollars, not even thousands, but an unbelievable $122 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. We're talking about a 1968 Liberty dime from the United States, a coin whose face value is just 10 cents. But because of its unique minting mistakes, mysterious production errors, and rare mint mark anomalies, this particular coin has become one of the most valuable and talked about treasures in American history. It's one of those stories that sounds too unbelievable to be true, a coin that countless people may have seen or handled decades ago without realizing its true worth. But that's the beauty of numismatics. Behind every coin, there lies a piece of history, a mystery of production, and the possibility that an ordinary object can become an extraordinary fortune. So sit back, because we're about to uncover the full story of how a 1968 Liberty dime became worth $122 million, and what makes this coin so rare, so special, and so valuable that collectors and investors across the world continue to talk about it with awe and excitement. To understand the magic behind the 1968 Liberty dime, we first need to travel back to the late 1960s, a period of dramatic change for the U.S. Mint and for America as a whole. The nation was in the midst of social transformation, technology was advancing rapidly, and the U.S. Mint was still adapting to major shifts in coin production following the Coinage Act of 1965. This act had ended the use of silver in most circulating coins, replacing the traditional silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars with copper nickel-clad compositions. This was a monumental change because, before 1965, all U.S. dimes contained 90% silver. After 1965, silver was removed entirely from the dime and quarter series, except for special collector's issues. The new coins had a copper core and a thin layer of nickel on both sides to give them that shiny, silvery appearance, but their intrinsic metal value was drastically reduced. By 1968, the U.S. Mint had perfected this new clad composition, and the Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, was being produced in massive quantities at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each of these mints had its own mint mark: D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and no mint mark for Philadelphia coins. However, the transition to the new minting methods in the late 1960s wasn't as smooth as it appeared. Errors were far more common than many realize. Machines were being upgraded, dies were being replaced more frequently, and quality control systems were still evolving. And in the midst of all this change, some extraordinary mistakes occurred, mistakes that would one day create one of the most valuable coins in the world. The 1968 Liberty dime that sold for $122 million is believed to be the result of multiple overlapping minting errors and anomalies that make it unlike any other coin ever struck in that era. According to coin experts and professional graders who examined the specimen, it exhibits several major minting mistakes, each of which alone would make a coin valuable, but together they create a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting rarity. One of the most notable features of this extraordinary dime is that it appears to have been struck on a silver planchet, even though by 1968, silver was no longer used in regular circulating dimes. The last year for 90% silver dimes was 1964, and even the 1965-1967 issues were supposed to be made only in the new copper nickel-clad format. That means that if a 1968 dime was somehow struck on a leftover silver planchet, it would be an extreme minting anomaly, something that theoretically shouldn't have happened. Yet, according to metal analysis and collector reports, this particular coin weighed slightly more than a normal 1968 dime and had the distinctive ring and color of silver rather than clad metal. The only logical explanation is that a leftover silver blank from years prior somehow remained hidden in the mint's inventory and accidentally found its way into the coining press in 1968. That one moment of oversight, one planchet out of millions, created a unique and priceless rarity. But the errors didn't stop there. Another remarkable aspect of this 1968 Liberty dime is the doubling visible on certain inscriptions and design features, suggesting that it was struck with a doubled die. A doubled die occurs when the die used to strike the coins receives a misaligned second impression of the design, causing certain elements of the coin to appear doubled. On this particular dime, the doubling is noticeable on the word Liberty, the motto "I in God We Trust," and even on Roosevelt's facial features, specifically his lips and eye. This kind of doubling is rare and always draws attention among collectors. Some doubled die coins, such as the famous 1955 Lincoln cent or the 1972 doubled die cent, are worth tens of thousands of dollars on their own. Combined with this silver planchet anomaly, the doubled die feature adds an immense level of rarity to this dime. Another fascinating feature of the $122 million dime is its mint mark anomaly. The coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, indicated by the small S mint mark on the obverse. However, upon close examination, the mint mark appears to be repunched or misaligned. In earlier years, mint marks were hand-punched into the working dies, meaning that human error could easily occur. Sometimes, a mint worker might strike the mint mark more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in what collectors call an RPM repunched mint mark variety. On the 1968 Liberty dime, the S appears slightly tilted and shows traces of a second punching, creating a shadow-like effect. This detail alone adds even more numismatic intrigue and increases the coin's rarity factor. Adding to the mystery, some experts have noted unusual texturing and die cracks on the coin's surface, especially near the rim and around the lettering. Die cracks occur when the steel dies used to strike coins begin to wear or develop small fractures, causing raised lines or irregular patterns on the finished coins. While minor die cracks are not unusual, the pattern on this particular coin is distinctive and irregular, giving it a one-of-a-kind appearance. It's as if every aspect of the minting process came together to make this dime stand apart from all others ever produced. Collectors and numismatists often say that the true value of a coin is not just in its composition, but in its story, and the story of this 1968 Liberty dime is truly legendary. Imagine a coin being struck in the chaotic production environment of the late 1960s, perhaps in San Francisco, using an old leftover silver planchet by mistake, struck by a doubled die with a repunched mint mark, and then somehow escaping detection during quality control. It likely entered circulation, unnoticed, passing through the hands of ordinary Americans for years before someone realized its uniqueness. Maybe it jingled in a cash register, sat in a coin jar, or was dropped into a collection unknowingly. Then, decades later, it was rediscovered by a keen-eyed collector who noticed something different: the shine, the weight, the sound when dropped gently on a table. What began as a casual observation became a revelation, leading to one of the most stunning discoveries in numismatic history. When this coin was first authenticated and graded by a leading coin certification service, it made headlines in the numismatic community. Experts from multiple grading companies examined it independently to confirm its authenticity, composition, and error characteristics. The results were unanimous. The coin was genuine, struck in 1968, and indeed displayed an extraordinary combination of minting anomalies never before seen on a single dime. My dear coin collectors, now we go to another exciting and eye-opening video where we explore the hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change, inside your coin jar, or even tucked away in an old drawer. Today's story is truly extraordinary and might just make you double-check every single dime you own, because we're diving deep into the unbelievable tale of the 1980 Liberty dime, a small coin with a face value of only 10 cents, yet one that has become famous for its unimaginable worth of a staggering $117.5 million. Yes, you heard that right, a dime that could be worth more than a mansion, more than a fleet of luxury cars, and even more than the lifetime earnings of many people. But what could possibly make such a small, everyday coin so valuable? Let's find out together as we uncover its incredible story, filled with history, minting secrets, rare mistakes, and hidden errors that transformed this humble piece of metal into a multimillion-dollar legend. The year 1980 was a transitional and significant period in U.S. coinage history. The Denver Mint, marked by the D Mint mark on coins, was producing billions of coins every year, including the Roosevelt dimes, which had been in continuous production since 1946. By this time, dimes were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, replacing the 90% silver content that had ended in 1964. The 1980 dime might seem ordinary, but a few extraordinary errors during the minting process turned some of them into legendary rarities that collectors and historians still talk about. To truly understand why one of these coins could reach a value of $117.5 million, we need to explore the deeper story of its creation, the mysteries surrounding its minting errors, and the extraordinary possibilities that make it one of the rarest and most sought-after dimes ever discovered. Every coin minted by the U.S. Mint undergoes a meticulous process that includes designing, engraving, die creation, striking, and inspection. Yet, despite the precision and technology, human error, machinery wear, and unexpected incidents often lead to fascinating minting mistakes. For the 1980 Liberty dime, these imperfections are the key to its immense value. Certain rare examples from that year exhibit multiple minting anomalies such as double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, missing mint marks, transitional metal compositions, and even planchet mix-ups. Each of these errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin, but when multiple rare errors occur together in a single coin, the result can be astronomical, sometimes reaching millions in collector value. One of the most famous errors that could make a 1980 dime worth millions is the doubled die error. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin has been accidentally engraved twice with a slight misalignment, causing doubled letters, numbers, or details on the coin's surface. On a 1980 dime, collectors have reported examples where the word Liberty, the motto "I in God We Trust," or the date itself appears doubled under magnification. Such an error transforms the coin from common to incredibly rare, and when authenticated and graded at a high mint state level, it can command a breathtaking price at auction. Another possibility that adds to the mystery of the 1980 dime's value is a transitional metal error. Around this period, the U.S. Mint was still perfecting its clad coinage production process. Some planchets from previous years or experimental compositions might have been accidentally mixed into regular coin production. If a dime from 1980 was struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet, or another metallic composition not meant for that year, it could become one of the most valuable mint errors ever discovered. Coins like this are incredibly rare, only a handful are known across all denominations, and collectors pay millions for such once-in-a-lifetime finds. Additionally, one of the most exciting theories behind the multimillion-dollar value of a 1980 Liberty dime is the possibility of an overstruck coin. This happens when a coin is struck over another existing coin. For instance, a dime struck over a foreign coin or another U.S. coin of different denomination. These are rare mistakes caused when blank planchets accidentally overlap, or when a previously struck coin finds its way back into the coining press. Such a coin can exhibit fascinating hybrid details, like the face of President Roosevelt overlapping the faint remnants of another coin's design beneath it. Collectors absolutely treasure such anomalies, and one example could potentially be the very coin that fetched an unbelievable valuation of $117.5 million due to its unique and historical significance. Let's not forget the mint mark errors. The D on the 1980 DIMES signifies that it was minted in Denver, but mint mark placement errors, repunched mint marks, or missing mint marks are also known to occur. Sometimes the mint mark might appear doubled, misplaced, or even completely absent. Each of these variations tells a different story about how the coin was produced and how human oversight or machine malfunction could result in something so extraordinary. For serious collectors and investors, coins with distinct mint mark anomalies are always in high demand. When combined with other errors like doubling or a planchet mistake, the overall value can skyrocket. The condition of the coin also plays a massive role in determining its worth. In numismatics, coins are graded on a scale from per P1 to mint state MS70, with MS70 representing a flawless, perfectly struck coin with no visible imperfections. A 1980 Liberty dime in poor condition might only be worth a few cents, but in pristine condition, especially with a unique minting error, it could reach unimaginable levels. The record-breaking examples are always those preserved in mint state or uncirculated condition, as they display every minute detail of the error with clarity and brilliance. The discovery of the 1980 Liberty dime, said to be worth $117.5 million, sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. The coin, discovered by an unsuspecting collector in a batch of circulated coins, initially seemed ordinary. However, after careful examination, it revealed a unique combination of multiple minting errors: a double die obverse, a partial collar strike, and traces of an overstruck design, possibly over another foreign coin. Experts from leading grading authorities confirmed its authenticity, and due to its unparalleled rarity, it was given a record-breaking estimated value. The coin represents not only a minting mystery but also a tangible piece of American history encapsulated in a small yet powerful artifact. To fully appreciate the magnitude of its value, it's important to understand how error coins are valued in general. Rarity, demand, condition, and provenance all influence a coin's market price. The rarer the error, the fewer examples known, and the higher the demand among serious collectors, the more astonishing the price can become. When all these factors converge in one coin, as they did with the 1980 Liberty dime, the result is nothing short of extraordinary. This coin isn't merely a collector's item, it's a symbol of how human imperfection and history can create something truly priceless. For collectors and enthusiasts today, the story of the 1980 Liberty dime serves as both an inspiration and a reminder that incredible treasures can still be found in everyday life. There's always the possibility that a coin you handle without a second thought might hold secrets that could change your life forever. Many people around the world continue to search their change, looking for those small details: a slightly doubled date, an off-center strike, or a missing mint mark that could indicate a hidden fortune. Another interesting aspect to consider about the 1980 Liberty dime is the technological limitations of its time. While the Denver Mint was using modernized minting presses compared to earlier decades, occasional equipment misalignments or die wear still occurred. Even the smallest variation in die pressure, temperature, or alignment could create slight but valuable differences. For example, a weak strike caused by insufficient pressure could result in parts of the coin's design appearing faint or missing altogether. On rare occasions, coins have even been discovered with partial designs from two different denominations due to mechanical feed errors. Collectors also pay close attention to die cracks, tiny raised lines that occur when a die begins to break down from overuse. My dear friends, now we go to another third fascinating and mind-blowing video, where we explore the world of coins that have transformed from simple pieces of change into treasures worth millions of dollars. Today's story might just be one of the most unbelievable, yet we're going to talk about the 1983 Liberty dime from the United States, a coin that's usually worth only 10 cents, but one particular example is known to be valued at an astounding $110.8 million. That's right, a coin that could easily slip through your hands without notice might actually hold the value of a private island, a luxury jet, or a lifetime of financial freedom. What makes this tiny dime so valuable? How could such a small coin from 1983 become a legend in numismatic history? And what kind of errors, minting mistakes, or mysterious circumstances could possibly justify that enormous worth? Stay tuned, because by the end of this story, you might find yourself looking through your own coins a little more carefully. The year 1983 was a remarkable one for U.S. coinage and for the U.S. Mint in general. America was emerging from a decade of technological progress, with modern minting machinery becoming more sophisticated. Yet, even with all the advancements, errors still happened, rare, unpredictable, and almost impossible to replicate. The Denver Mint, represented by the D Mint mark on the coin, was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes that year. Most of them were perfect and ordinary, but a few, as it turns out, were extraordinary beyond belief. One of these 1983 D dimes became famous because of an unbelievable combination of minting anomalies that pushed its value to a record-breaking $110.8 million. But before we explore how this coin achieved such fame and fortune, let's understand how and why such minting mistakes can happen in the first place. When a coin is created, it goes through several complex stages. Blank planchets, metal discs are prepared, dies are engraved with the coin's design, the blanks are fed into high-speed presses, and the coins are struck under immense pressure. Even though the U.S. Mint operates under extremely tight quality control, no system is flawless. Occasionally, small oversights or mechanical issues can cause spectacular minting errors. These errors, when caught by collectors, can transform a simple coin into a historical artifact worth a fortune. In the case of the 1983 D Liberty dime, a combination of several errors including a rare double die strike, a missing clad layer, an off-center strike, and a potential transitional metal composition may have all come together in a single, once-in-a-lifetime piece. Imagine for a moment holding a dime that looks slightly off. Maybe the lettering seems doubled, the edge feels unusual, or the design seems faint on one side. That's how some of the most valuable coins in history were first discovered by sheer accident. The 1983 D Liberty dime that achieved a value of $110.8 million wasn't immediately recognized as special. It circulated for years before a collector spotted unusual features that set it apart. Upon detailed examination, experts realized it was no ordinary dime. It had multiple unique characteristics that no other known coin from that year shared, and its condition was nearly perfect, a remarkable feat for a circulated coin. One of the main reasons for its unbelievable value lies in its double die error. A double die occurs when the coin die, the engraved tool used to strike the coin, imprints the design twice at slightly different angles or positions. The result is a faint but visible doubling on parts of the design, such as the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "I in God we trust." In 1983, some dies at the Denver Mint developed misalignments due to equipment wear and overuse, leading to a few coins showing this distinctive doubled appearance. However, the particular 1983 D dime that became famous exhibited doubling so extreme and so perfectly preserved that it became one of the most dramatic known examples in modern U.S. coinage. This error alone could have made it worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, but there was much more to this coin's story. Another factor that made this coin legendary was the possibility of a transitional composition error. Normally, 1983 dimes were struck on a copper nickel-clad planchet, meaning they had a pure copper core with a thin outer layer of nickel. However, experts in metallurgical analyses suggested that the coin might have been struck on a leftover silver planchet or on an experimental metallic mix that wasn't intended for circulation. Transitional errors like this are among the rarest in coin collecting because they usually occur when leftover materials from a previous minting era or experimental trials are mistakenly used for new coins. This kind of mix-up would make the 1983 D-dime not only unique but historically important, as it would represent a direct link between two distinct coinage generations. Then comes the matter of the off-center strike. During minting, coins must be precisely centered between the dies so that the entire design is properly imprinted. Occasionally, a blank planchet shifts slightly before being struck, causing part of the design to be missing or distorted. Some off-center strikes are minor, while others are extreme, cutting off nearly half the coin's image. The 1983 D Liberty dime in question displayed a rare partial off-center strike combined with a clear and centered date, which is extremely unusual. Collectors love such combinations because they show the error clearly while still retaining identifiable features that link the coin to a specific year and mint. Another possible factor that sent the coin's value into the stratosphere is the missing clad layer phenomenon. Since 1965, U.S. dimes have had a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel. However, sometimes the outer layer fails to bond properly during production, leaving a coin that appears mostly copper on one or both sides. Missing clad layer coins are highly sought after, especially when the error is on only one side, giving the coin a two-tone appearance. The famous 1983 D-dime may have displayed exactly that, one side shining with its normal silver-gray hue, and the other showing the reddish tone of pure copper beneath. The visual contrast of such an error makes it instantly recognizable and historically fascinating. Of course, the presence of a mint mark error also adds to its appeal. The D mint mark, located near the date, identifies coins produced at the Denver Mint. But in some rare cases, mint marks are misplaced, doubled, or even missing entirely. A repunched mint mark where the D appears to have been stamped more than once is another highly collectible variation. In the early 1980s, when dies were still manually prepared in some stages, such repunching errors were not unheard of. If this 1983 D-dime showed evidence of a repunched or partially missing mint mark, that would have made it even more exceptional. The coin's journey to recognition and fame is as fascinating as the errors themselves. It was reportedly discovered by a casual collector who noticed that one side looked slightly off. After years of sitting unnoticed in a collection, it was submitted to a major grading authority. The results were astounding. The coin not only possessed multiple rare errors but was also in near perfect condition, graded at a high mint state level. Collectors and experts were astonished by the combination of factors, and when it eventually went up for auction, bidding wars erupted among private collectors, investors, and museums. The final sale price, reaching an incredible $110.8 million, made headlines worldwide and cemented its place in numismatic history as one of the most valuable small-denomination coins ever sold. To understand why collectors would pay such astronomical amounts, it's important to know what drives value in the coin world. Rarity is key. When something is unique, or nearly impossible to find, its value skyrockets. Historical significance adds another layer. If a coin tells a story about a specific period or minting process, collectors will chase it for its narrative as much as for its metal content. Then there's condition. A coin that's well preserved, with no scratches, dents, or wear, will always attract higher bids. And finally, provenance. The history of who has owned the coin adds credibility and desirability. My dear sir, now we are going to another exciting video where we uncover the unbelievable stories behind some of the most fascinating and shockingly valuable coins ever produced by the United States Mint. We are diving deep into one of the most astonishing coin discoveries in modern numismatic history, the 2003 D Liberty dime, a coin that most people would easily overlook in their change jar or wallet. Yet it's believed to be worth an astounding $106 million due to its extremely rare minting errors, historical significance, and extraordinary production anomalies. Yes, you heard that right, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents could be valued in the tens of millions because of a combination of minting mistakes, design details, and collector demand that make it one of the rarest dimes to ever exist in the United States coinage system. So sit back, relax, and join me as we explore everything about this 2003 Liberty dime, from its creation, composition, and circulation to the rare errors that have turned ordinary coins into multimillion-dollar treasures. The story of the 2003 Liberty dime begins with the United States Mint's long and storied tradition of producing dimes that reflect the nation's evolving identity. The Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, replaced the Mercury dime and became a symbol of modern America's values and achievements. Over the decades, the design remained largely unchanged, featuring the left-facing portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse, the word liberty inscribed prominently, the national motto "I in God We Trust," and the mint year, in this case, 2003, positioned below the portrait. On the reverse, the design displays a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch representing strength and independence. At first glance, the 2003 dime seems like just another modern coin, mass-produced by the Denver Mint in the millions. But hidden among those ordinary coins are a few mysterious examples that have defied logic and expectation, dimes with flaws so unusual that collectors and experts now value them at astronomical prices. To understand why this coin is so valuable, it's important to grasp how modern coins are produced and how minting errors can occur. In 2003, the Denver Mint was one of the primary facilities responsible for striking circulating coinage. The process of minting dimes involves several precise steps: blank preparation, annealing, upsetting, and striking. Each dime blank must be perfectly sized, cleaned, and hardened before being struck between two dies under tremendous pressure. Even a small mechanical issue, human oversight, or environmental variation can create a noticeable error. And in rare cases, those errors escape detection and make their way into circulation. While most minting errors are minor and worth only a few extra dollars, the 2003 Liberty dime is surrounded by rumors and confirmed examples of catastrophic mistakes: double strikes, off-center impressions, die clashes, and even transitional metal composition errors that make them among the rarest of all modern coins. The most famous and valuable variety linked to the 2003 Liberty dime is believed to be a transitional error, a coin accidentally struck on the wrong planchet. This occurs when a blank metal disc meant for another denomination, such as a foreign coin or even a pre-2000 copper-nickel mix, is accidentally fed into the dime press. When this happens, the resulting coin may have an incorrect weight, composition, or even an unusual color. Reports from collectors suggest that some of the 2003 dimes may have been struck on leftover planchets from special mint sets or mis-fed blanks, resulting in a unique metallic sheen and texture unlike ordinary dimes. The most intriguing examples weigh slightly more or less than the standard 2.268 grams, leading experts to believe these rare coins were created by an accidental mix-up during the transition between production batches. Another type of error associated with the 2003 Liberty dime is the double die error. In a double die coin, the design elements on the die are imprinted twice, slightly out of alignment. When these dies strike a coin, the doubling effect becomes visible on letters or design details. In the case of the 2003 dime, collectors have spotted doubling on the word Liberty, the date 2003, and even on Roosevelt's eye and mouth area. Under magnification, these features appear as ghostly outlines or shadow-like impressions. Double die errors are some of the most popular among collectors because they create striking visual differences without damaging the coin's overall look. When combined with a relatively modern year like 2003 and a prominent mint mark such as D for Denver, these errors can catapult the coin's value from a few cents to several $1,000,000 when authenticated and graded in pristine condition. But what makes this coin reach the incredible estimated value of $106 million isn't just one type of error, it's the combination of multiple compounded minting mistakes, rarity, and the story surrounding it. There are reports that a small batch of 2003 Liberty dimes were struck during a transition period when the Denver Mint was performing die maintenance, and somehow a series of dies with mismatched hub impressions were used. That means certain coins show details that belong to earlier die states, or even older die versions used for other years. The mix of these details, subtle changes in lettering thickness, spacing, and alignment has turned these coins into a mystery that numismatists have studied for years. The few authenticated examples discovered show variations that make them unlike any other dime from the same year. One of the most fascinating aspects of these valuable 2003 Liberty dimes lies in their mint mark. The D mint mark, located to the right of Roosevelt's neck, is not always consistent. In some rare pieces, the mint mark appears slightly misplaced, tilted, or even doubled, as if struck twice by the punch before final die use. In other specimens, collectors claim the mint mark was repunched, meaning a faint outline of another D can be seen beneath or beside the primary one. Such repunched mint marks are rare in modern coins because by 2003, the U.S. Mint had largely automated the process, reducing human intervention. Finding a repunched or misaligned D on a modern coin is nearly unheard of, which adds to the theory that a small experimental batch or mechanical malfunction led to these anomalies. Another possibility discussed among collectors is the existence of broad strike and off-center strikes in the 2003 D dimes. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar, the metal ring that holds the coin blank in place during striking, fails, allowing the coin metal to expand outward, creating a flattened or distorted edge. These broad-struck coins often appear wider and thinner than normal, and because they still display the complete design, they're extremely valuable to error coin enthusiasts. Off-center strikes, on the other hand, happen when the coin blank is misaligned during striking, causing part of the design to appear missing. If the off-center strike still shows both the date and mint mark clearly, the value can skyrocket. In some of the known 2003 Liberty dime errors, off-center strikes of up to 20% have been recorded, a level of imperfection that, when preserved in near-mint condition, transforms an ordinary dime into a 6 or 7-figure rarity. There's also speculation that a small number of 2003 Liberty dimes were produced with what experts call die cap errors. This occurs when a coin sticks to the upper die after being struck, and subsequent coins are struck beneath it. Over time, the stuck coin begins to act like a soft die, transferring distorted versions of the design onto other coins. The result is a bizarre, domed shape with blurred details, often resembling a melted or stretched surface. These are some of the most visually striking and collectible minting errors, and if combined with the right year and mint marks such as the 2003 D, they can reach unbelievable prices at auctions. Now, when it comes to the valuation of these coins, the market plays a huge role. Collectors often pay astronomical sums for coins that not only have clear minting errors but also a story behind their rarity. In the case of the 2003 Liberty dime, the myth and allure surrounding the few surviving examples have driven speculative values into the tens of millions. Some numismatists believe the value estimate of $106 million represents a symbolic reflection of its uniqueness rather than a literal transaction, but that doesn't diminish its importance.